have to say that I do not feel prepared to teach English language learner students. Most of the courses I've taken really only pertain to general education students, so I would have to answer no to that question.
After completing my coursework, I feel like I would be able to handle having ESL learners in my classroom, but I don't know if I necessarily feel prepared to teach them because I feel like there is a lack of teaching on working with those students in my coursework.
I do not feel prepared to teach English language learners. My first experience with being prepared to teach English language learners was in my internship when the ESL teacher spoke to us at the beginning of our internship.
I think we could include a few different types of pre-service learning, just with different ethnicities around the Auburn area and Opelika area.
I think that my pre-service education could have prepared me better by having a class specifically for teaching these students. Just like there's a class for special education, it would have been really nice if there had been a class for teaching English second language learners as well, just because they are very popular in the classroom and you will have students like that, and I feel like that would have really helped prepare me to teach them.
I feel my pre-service teacher education service could prepare me better for English language learners through a class that taught me strategies to teach English language learners students like they provided for special education students.
To teach ELL students, but I've been teaching a long time. I make sure I look at the in-services that the ELL teachers provide or the handouts, and I actively go and search out things to help myself better be prepared to teach my ELL students. But as a young teacher, I was not prepared to teach ELL students, but 25 years ago we didn't have very many ELL students. I make sure Ms. Fulmer is our ELL teacher here at Richland. I make sure if I have questions, I go and seek her out. I read, I research, I do a lot of that on my how to get started, especially when they have zero English. I don't know where to begin some of the time, most of the time. But it's that initial, how do I start to teach them? Do I start with the ABCs? Do I start with words? Do I start with writing? Where do you begin for someone who has zero English? I think it's a challenge to mainstream anybody, so I look at that kind of like a special ed question as well. Having enough time to work with them on their level and get things done on their level when you're in a class of everyone who can read, everyone who can write. Then to put someone in who has zero English, you have to make time for them on their level. So small group work for them, individual work for them, making sure that they've made progress every week, every day. So just taking independent time for them, I think is one of my biggest challenges. I get in and I just start going, teaching what I've been comfortable with, what I know that I'm doing for children who already have English. So to make sure I remember, teaching an idiom to an English language learner, that they're probably not ready for that. So keep it in mind.
I don't feel prepared to teach ELL students. I don't have very many throughout the years, so the little experience I have had, I don't feel very prepared. A big challenge would be not having the resources and not really knowing how to accommodate and modify tests and classwork for ELL kids. Some resources might be like more spelling and writing resources for other languages. And I know there's a website where you can go and make forms into different languages, so that's a good thing to have.
I don't feel very prepared to teach ELL students at our school because we don't have many resources for them and we've not had much professional development. And when I was in college, I don't think I had one class on ELL students. if we had more funding to have more resources for them, I feel like I could better help them. And it's very hard by second grade, even though it's an early grade, to get them caught up to where the other English-speaking students are. So it's hard to catch them up from what they've already missed due to language barriers. And it's hard to communicate with the parents for them to understand what their child is doing at school and needs to be doing at home.
Dr. Jamie Harrison, a professor at Auburn University, conducted a needs assessment for 3 different school systems. She interviewed 316 teachers and administrators in Auburn City, Opelika City, and Lee County school systems. We compiled her data and found that the main needs for teachers regarding ELL students and families were lack of resources, professional development training, translators, and other needs such as funding, differentiated assessments, or motivational strategies. We found that the largest need across all 3 school systems was a need for professional development and training in order to learn strategies to better teach English language learners. Following professional development was a need for resources. Some resources teachers highlighted were bilingual texts, transition technology, more specialists, and resources to communicate with parents. Thirdly, the need for translators was a recurring issue among the school systems. Specifically, the teachers would like translators for testing, meetings with parents, and better communication with students. As you can see, general education teachers do desire and feel that they need professional development, training, and resources to better teach their English language learning students.
In recent news, the Duluth News Tribune talks about a dual language immersion program that started in the Roseville School District in Minnesota. It combines students who want to learn Spanish and students who are native speakers with limited English skills. The ELL student is immersed in English through a peer. School officials say this concept has boosted academic achievement. While this may become a growing trend, the biggest issue is finding teachers who are qualified.
On the national state level, policies for teacher preparedness for English language learners has not proven beneficial. The federal law does require research-based professional development to any teachers, administrators, and staff who work with ELL students. But the problem is that pre-service teachers are not required to have this professional development, and some are not even given the opportunity. In addition, over 30 states do not require ELL training for general classroom teachers beyond the federal requirements, although some states appear to require teacher preparation programs to provide training in working with ELLs. We find that the enforcement of diversity standards and the use of research-based knowledge on best practices when it comes to ELLs is often not reflected in program requirements.
Contrary to what we assumed, there are very few advocacy efforts pushing for teachers' needs for instruction, resources, and support for ELL students. While there are many agencies that advocate for ELL students, there is little to no efforts being made for general education teachers of ELL students. If teachers were better prepared to meet the needs of ELL students, perhaps this need for teacher preparedness and lack of professional development would not be so large.
You, as administrators, have the power to make a difference. It is vital that you make the effort to advocate for your very own. By making sure that the special needs of ELLs are addressed, schools may gain higher quality teachers and, more importantly, higher outcomes for English language learners. We need you to help push for funding to better meet the needs that the ELL students deserve.